Hey guys, Kamina the coach here. I am redoing my last video on intuition and trauma, or intuition versus trauma. Have you ever, I'm gonna skip the intro this time because I'm re-recording. So have you ever had a big decision to make, or you're going to do something and there is this silent whisper that tells you don't do it? Or you're not going to do something and there's just this very gentle that tells you that maybe you should do it. So this video I'm going to talk about how to be able to determine the difference between hearing your decisions and hearing decisions through your trauma and hearing decisions through your intuition. So essentially there is no magic spell, magic wand. The truth of the matter is that your intuition is silent. Your intuition is silent and peaceful, and it is non-anxiety inducing. Or say that again. Your intuition is silent, peaceful, and not anxiety inducing. Something your intuition has said will feel right. I know it's hard when you're just not sure even what you're feeling. I know that. I do. After I get to the end of this video, I'm going to talk about what helped me tune in with my intuition. And it is unfortunate that it's not something that I could have done on my own. So, okay, like I said in other videos, occasionally it does take a team of people to help you get out of that contracted space, and I definitely needed that. So, what does trauma sound like? What does trauma feel like? So decisions that have been run through your lens of trauma are going to feel like you need to ask somebody else. You're going to think about it a lot. It's going to be loud. It's going to feel like a nagging. And when you hear the conversation in your voice, it might even sound like somebody else's voice. Listen for that. That's really important when there is an internal dialogue. Try to determine which of those voices are your voices and which of those voices belong to other people. Give those voices back to them. So trauma is not going to be, it's going to be potentially a person's voice. Intuition is going to be a voice, but it is not going to be a person. It's going to feel loving. It's going to feel like a whisper. It's not going to feel anxious, anxiety inducing. But trauma is loud. It's kind of like that yin, 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 yin in the background. Makes you feel like you need to, like, when you've made a major decision filtered through the lens of trauma, you often feel like you really need to run your decision by a lot of people. I know when I make a decision based in my intuition, I may share my decision with someone because I'm excited, but I don't need to run my idea through anyone else because I know that it's right for whatever reason. So, what are the reasons why? Well, for those of us who are suffering from childhood/adoption trauma, it's easy to understand why we have old trauma that makes us doubt that we have the ability to make a proper decision. So not having the care that we needed when we were young. We're not going to go into attachment styles, but not attention. I know that there are a lot of people who may feel like I wasn't hit and they didn't yell at me, so I wasn't abused and there was no abuse. I just want you to understand that that is not necessarily the case. If you were left to cry when you were crying, you were abused. If you weren't held when you needed to be held, that's a form of abuse as well. So let's talk about how I removed the veil of trauma. So just like doctors need to go to doctors, healers and coaches need to go to healers and coaches. So my primary care physician actually recommended that I go see a woman named Tara McCamus, and she is an intuitive healer. And she is a light worker. Let's put it like that. She's not necessarily a healer. She's a light worker. So all things revolving around light. So we're talking about my primary care physician recognizing that I have medical stuff that is probably spiritually induced. So my primary care physician, who is also a Reiki practitioner, referred me to my light worker. So my very first session was my most powerful session. I had 3 sessions with this light worker, and the very first one was the most powerful one because so we looked at some of my past lives, and my most recent past life was pretty traumatic. It is no shock to me that I am descendant of very powerful witches and warlocks. It's no, and if you're not into that stuff, yeah, forgive me for going deep in the woo-woo, but just is what it is. And my most recent past life experienced a lot of trauma, lost her entire village trying to save her people, and I was carrying around that trauma. So there's a video about my experience with Tara in the channels. That's why I'm not going deep into the actual experience. Just letting you know the logistics. So when she removed the grief of this most recent past life, it was like, how would I describe it? It was like having a blanket, a weighted blanket of grief lifted off of me. As we were ending our session, she was like, is there anything else? I was like, I just want to be able to make decisions based on my intuition. And she said, you will now. And sure enough, now, I mean, have there been other things that we've discussed that haven't come to fruition? Yes. But has this come to fruition? Absolutely. And who knows, maybe it's just the power of the mind, because the mind is super powerful. I'm not here to question. And why would I question such a gift? Why would I question such a gift? Because to me, it is a gift to be able to make decisions based in my intuition and not based in my trauma. And still occasionally I can get caught in a feedback loop when people question my decisions, which is why I'm a bit more reserved with who I share them with at this point. However, for the most part, I am able to make my decisions without any angst, without hearing the trauma noise. Does that mean I'm healed? No, it does not. Does it mean I still don't have work to do? Absolutely not. But does it mean that I am able to trust my decisions? Yes, it does. Does it mean that I know when I am leaning into trauma? Yes. When I'm leaning into trauma versus leaning into my intuition. So, just wanted to redo this video. I don't know why the last one sound was so horrible. I'm going to delete it and replace it with this one. And until next time, you amazing people, sending you a love, light, peace, and joy. Until next time, I'm Kamina the Coach. Peace.